Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. Is anyone here for the first time? Quite a few of you. That was our Sunday meditation session. Very low key, very mellow. Our style of meditation is a little different to other styles of meditation. It's a very active style of meditation. Very blissful style of meditation. Before I became a Hare Krishna, I was studying acting. I was an acting student in Melbourne, studying with a studio from New York. And when I became a Hare Krishna, it was a surprise to my family. They weren't expecting me. I just came home one day and I said, I'm going to become a Hare Krishna. And my mother said, oh, what are you doing to your family? And they were surprised, and then I became a Hare Krishna and moved into the temple and became a monk, shaved my head and wore orange robes, saffron robes for 8 years as a monk. And then when I became a Hare Krishna and I did that, then my grandmother, she said to me, you're just a frustrated actor. You just want to dance down the street and everyone to look at you. I said, well, it's not exactly like that. I do like dancing down the street. I used to do it even before I became a Hare Krishna. Sometimes I just start dancing down the street and singing some David Bowie song or something. Mick Jagger and David Bowie, dancing in the street. I just do that. It's the kind of person I was. So when I became a Hare Krishna, it was fortunate for me because that kind of fits into my lifestyle and my personality. I like to dance, I like to chant, I like to celebrate like that. So this was a spiritual celebration to take us to a higher level of consciousness without intoxication, no drugs. And we can stay high just on the spiritual platform. So it's very powerful. So I've been living here now at Hare Krishna Valley for 10 years. As I was explaining to a few of you, because you're here for the first time, some people were asking, we brought this farm that's 200 acres. When you drive in, there's a sign at the front. So from there all the way to here, it's about 200 acres. It's about a square kilometre in size. Situated right in the middle of the forest. We only have one neighbour. We're surrounded by forest on every other side. So it's like a little spiritual oasis. A very good place to have yoga retreats. If anyone would like to have any yoga retreats here, then... Oh, that's right, you're having a yoga retreat. Yeah. So a nice place to have retreat. We run retreats here regularly. And when I first came here, 10 years ago, we'd had the farm for about 30 years. The first 10 years, this was a school. These were classrooms. We had a Hare Krishna school. And then after about 10 years, the government, they were closing small schools in country Victoria because they were trying to merge all the small schools at the time. So we lost our funding. So our community kind of dissipated, and then all our students went to our other school at Murwillumbah, which is near Byron Bay. And that school's still going successfully up there. And for 10 years, this place was very quiet. There was only a couple of people here, just as caretakers. And then we came here, myself and Money. Money's the guy who was leading the chanting just then, big New Zealand guy. He's a farmer. His surname is actually Farmer. He couldn't be any more farming than him. It's like he's born to be a farmer. So he grew up in that's his brother actually, Dougie, Douglas Farmer. So they grew up right out the back of New Zealand, running farms. That's all they've done their whole life. They ran farms. Now they came here to run this farm. So 10 years ago, myself and Money, we moved down here. He's running the agricultural side, looking after our cows. As I was explaining to some people, it's one of the only places in Australia where we have an ahimsa dairy. Ahimsa means non-violence. One of the only places in Australia where animals live, or anyone can live, without fear of being slaughtered. So the animals live there their whole life. They're born here, they pass away here, they live their whole lives. Chintamani, our oldest cow, how old was she? 23, 24. Yeah, usually cows, usually in the world, they live about 17, 18 years on average. Our cows will live longer because of the peace and the protection they receive. She just passed away. She was our last old from the old herd. She was 23, 24 years old. So now we have a new herd, which we're developing. We've got 17 animals. After we have the feast, you're welcome. We'll go down, if you want to join us, we'll go down and feed them. And you can pat them and hang out with them and love that. They've all got different personalities. We'll tell you which ones you can pat and which ones you can't pat. They're like human beings. Some of them have got different dispositions. Some of them enjoy being patted. You can pat them all day. And other ones you can't get near. Because it's just their personality. Like that. So they're running the agriculture zone. We're growing organic vegetables here. We're about to start apparently a organic orchard very, very soon here. I was informed recently, some friends of ours said, oh, we've just raised $2,000 so you can start an organic orchard here. I said, oh, that's nice. They hadn't discussed it with me yet, but they just told me we're raising money. They said, we're going to raise $15,000 so you can have an orchard. I said, oh, that's nice. So now we have to meet with them and discuss. So we'll start an orchard. And then my side of the retreat is up here. This is the retreat center side where we run the retreats. So we do regular yoga retreats, meditation retreats. We've got a retreat in January, which we're running, a Bhakti Yoga retreat. And Linda, our good friend from PY Styles, it's an advertising commercial break. Best yoga school in Geelong, by far. Linda's school, they're running a yoga retreat here, probably about March or so like that. So different groups come here and they run retreats here. There's a beautiful retreat center. So the mission of this place is to show people an alternative to the modern world. Because the modern world, how would you describe the modern world at this point in time?
Chaotic.
Chaotic? Okay. Any other words we could use to describe the modern world?
Stressful.
Stressful, very good. Any other words we could use to describe the modern world?
Unbalanced.
Unbalanced, very good. Any positive words we could use to describe the modern world at this point in time? Yeah. So the world should not be like that. Why should it be stressful, chaotic and unbalanced? Why? Why? Is it necessary? It's not necessary, but unfortunately it's the way it is. Why is that? That means there is a problem with the leadership. Just like recently America elected a leader, what was the guy's name? Donald Trump, sorry. Donald Trump. So does he have the vision to fix the chaotic, unbalanced, stressful situation in the world, or are the current leaders going to increase the unbalanced, chaotic, stressful situation in the world? Pretty much every leader in the world, even though some of them have good intent, because there's like a machine which is already running very powerfully, they just kind of go and they're trying to fix little parts of the machine. The machine has to be stopped and possibly redirected or dismantled or restarted. So Hare Krishna Valley, one of its main missions is to show people how we can have an alternative way of living, where people can live in peace and harmony with animals, with nature, with each other, and they have a spiritual focus in their life. One of the main defects of the modern world, people don't have a spiritual focus at this point in time. We call spiritual practice, what do we call it? Is anyone here a spiritual practitioner? Has like a yoga discipline or any kind of discipline? Or what do we call that in Sanskrit, in the ancient language? Our practice or our discipline.
Sadhana?
Very good, yeah. Sadhana. Sadhana means like a regular practice, something you do on a daily basis. We get up in the morning as Hare Krishnas, our sadhana, or our practice which you do on a daily basis, we get up in the morning and we do mantra meditation. So that meditation which we did just then, that mantra which we chanted just then, the Hare Krishna mantra, we do that for 2 hours a day. You want to sit on the couch with Michael? Yeah, just like that. Like that. Her back's a bit sore, so she needs. Yeah. Is the couch okay? Or? Yeah. You want a chair or is the couch okay? It's okay. There's chairs up the back as well. So you're okay? Okay. So. Every morning, our sadhana is that we'll get up early in the morning. Usually we'll get up like 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. When I'm in India, I get up at 3:30 in the morning. We get up early. And then we chant that mantra we were just chanting before all together. We chant that on meditation beads for 2 hours a day. And that's our sadhana or our practice. So in the ancient world, people used to have a sadhana or a spiritual practice that was a part of their daily life because it keeps you focused and centered. Right? So then you can actually be of value to other people in the world, plus yourself. But these days the leadership is not encouraging us to have a sadhana or a spiritual practice. What is Donald Trump's spiritual practice? What's his sadhana? What does he do in the morning when he gets up? Like, what's his focus and his... I don't think he has one. I don't think he has a spiritual focus. I certainly know what he is focused on. There's two things I know for sure that he's focused on. One of them is women, and the other one's money, which is the great trap of materialistic consciousness or materialistic society. Right? Just have as much sex as you can, and get as rich as you can. And one of Donald Trump's mottos is, "He who dies with the most toys wins." That's one of his sayings. Whoever dies with the most, he wins. That's his focus. I was in India about 3-4 weeks ago, and I was having lunch with a friend, and my friend had another friend, and he's a tennis coach. He coaches some of the professionals on the circuit, not the big professionals, not like the Agassiz and the Djokovic, not that level, but like the guys in the top 100. He's a coach, Peter Burwash. So he said he was at the US Open with Donald Trump, and they were in a box. He happened to be in the same box with Donald Trump. And he said the whole time, Donald had binoculars and he was just looking around at women in the crowd. Right? And when he saw one that he liked, right, he'd say to his PA, his personal assistant, "Go and ask her to come to the box. Donald Trump is asking you to come and sit in the box." This is before he was the president. This is going back 5 years or something. So this is the consciousness. And now that kind of a person is the world leader. Supposed to be fixing all of our problems, our chaos, the unbalance and the stress. How are they going to fix it? Because the things which he's focused on is what's causing the chaos, the unbalance and the stress. So how's it going to work? So what do we need to do with the world? We need fresh leadership. So how are we going to get fresh leadership? At this point in time, I'm not sure. But if we do get it, it will be a lot better. So at least what we're doing, we're working organically. We're working on the ground level. Right? We actually, Hare Krishnas have run for office before. In the US, we had a party. We tried to become the president of America. It didn't work. The world's not ready for us yet because we're a little bit radical at this point. Because if we get in control, we're going to stop a lot of things. We're going to stop people killing animals. We're going to abolish a lot of things. A lot of the problems, we'll just cut them out. The world's probably not ready for us right now. And also in Australia we ran. We had in the 1970s, one of our devotees, and he actually got 500 votes, I think, which is not bad back then. But up until that happens, at this point in time, we have to work from the grassroots to try to show people there is an alternative way to live. There's an alternative state of consciousness. And there's many people like us doing this around the world now. There's like a grassroots movement which is coming up, which is showing people a positive alternative. Just like yesterday, I went to Geelong and there was a vegan festival down in the park. You were there as well? No? Yeah. So a lot of people we're speaking to are kind of on the same wavelength, of thinking in a different way. The way the world, using natural products, thinking about the products we're using, are they actually necessary? Are they harming others, both animals and humans? And so a lot of people are thinking about these things now. So what we usually do, we usually ask if anyone has any questions or comments that you would like to ask. A member of the Hare Krishna movement, you have our undivided attention. So if there's anything you'd like to ask, any questions about the meaning of life, the universe and everything, we have some answers for those things. So. Or anything at all. Local, state politics, the weather, why I have this haircut, and anything. If there's anything you'd like to ask, then we can try to. Any other questions? Yes, madam.
Yes, your also ran to be on the block as well, which I found interesting when you mentioned that one time in class.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see it on Facebook or?
No, you mentioned it in a class once. Just when you were talking about running for office, I thought, oh, you also ran for that too.
Yeah, we didn't get on, unfortunately. You know that show called The Block? You heard of that? It's on television. I don't advertise on television. I actually found out about it from my brother. He said, oh, there's this show called The Block and I'm going to try to get on it. So I researched it a bit. So myself and Money, the guy who lives there with me, the tall guy there, then we made a video and we sent it in. And we didn't get on it. But we're going to do the Hare Krishna version of The Block. We told them we're going to create a meditation space in the house. And but they weren't ready for us yet. But we try. We try on every level to try to lift people up. And I think it would have been interesting, actually. And that particular series was in Albert Park, and our temple's in Albert Park, which I thought would have been awesome, because then I could have got food every day, you know, because I can't eat like all the stuff that they eat on the show, like, and they give them meat and stuff, I can't eat that. So I thought then, you know, they could bring the food around, we could eat, you know, some veg, and then we could tell people, oh, we eat this kind of vegetarian food, and, you know, we do meditation in the morning, and, you know, we're peaceful, we do chanting when we nail wood into the wall and stuff, and that, but it didn't work out. Any other questions? Oh. Okay, I'll take one more. Madam.
Can you chant any day, any time, or how does it work?
Can we chant any day or any time? Or, yeah. We do 2 hours of meditation every morning. That's on our beads. That's like, it's called japa. Japa means like a focused meditation. But then, during the day when you're doing anything, you can just chant Hare Krishna, and you can get the benefit of the chanting at any time during the day. The mantra is called a Siddha mantra. Does anyone know that word from Sanskrit, from yoga? Siddha? You might have heard of it. There's a group called Siddha Yoga. Anyone heard that word? Siddha means perfection, or perfect. So Siddha mantra, this Hare Krishna mantra is a Siddha mantra, which means it gives you perfection in consciousness. Because originally all of us are spiritual, right? We're not the body, we are the soul. Does everyone understand that concept? Anyone who thinks they are just the body, not the soul? Okay, it's good. I just want to see who I'm working with, because sometimes you get someone who's like, no, I'm just the body, and after death there is nothing, and like that, so I just need to know. But I think here everyone's very enlightened, so you already understand many things. So originally, all of us are spiritual entities. And according to our teachings, the ancient Vedic teachings of India, the ancient spiritual teachings of India, originally we were in the spiritual world, which is another world beyond this world. This world is in the Bhagavad Gita. Have you heard of the Bhagavad Gita? Many of you? Yeah, many of you have heard of the Bhagavad Gita. This is like the Bible in India. This is our book of knowledge that we base our lives upon. It's spoken by Krishna. The actual anniversary of it being spoken was about a week ago. It was spoken 5,153 years ago, according to us. Like that. Modern science has a different version, but we say 5,153. And 7 days. We have a different version. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that this world is a reflection of the original world. Just like in Christianity and in many of the great teachings of the world, it teaches that there is another world. They call it heaven or kingdom of God, or we call it Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means a place without anxiety. Hands up if you'd like to go there. Yeah. We'd like to go there. Vaikuntha, it's another place. There's no anxiety there. Why is there no anxiety? There's 4 main things that give you anxiety in this world. Right? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Those 4 things are the main source of our anxiety. If you can get rid of these 4, most of your anxiety is gone. If you don't get born, and you don't die, and there's no old age and there's no disease, that's called Vaikuntha, means no anxiety. Plus up there's no tax, there's no cholesterol, no diabetes, no mosquitoes that bite, and it's different up there. It's a different atmosphere up there. So according to our ancient teachings, this world is the reflected world. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is the blue guy. Have you seen the pictures? He's the blue guy, like that. He's a little bit special. Our understanding, he's God. That's how we see God. He's a blue cowherd boy. And when I became a Hare Krishna, I was it was easy for me to understand that that's God, because he's just a young blue cowherd boy. And he just has fun all day. He has picnics, wanders around the fields with cows, swims in the river, dances. You can see he's dancing like that. You know, the concept of God I had before I met the Hare Krishnas was that he just sat on a throne all day. And people would come before him and he'd say, have you been good or bad? And people would say, I've been good. He'd say, very good. Here's your harp. That's cloud 9, go and sit on it. Strum your harp, and every 5,000 years throw a grape into my mouth. Next. And the next person would come. And then, I mean, that's the concept of God. He's just like this person who just sits on a throne all day. Actually, my guru, many years ago, he met with a cardinal in the Philippines, who was the head of the Catholic Church in the Philippines. His name was Cardinal Sin, which is maybe a little ironic for a cardinal in the Catholic Church. So he met him and he said, what does God do in the kingdom of God? My guru said to the cardinal. And he said, he sits on a throne. And then my guru said, what does he do? Does he ever get off the throne? And the cardinal thought about it. He said, we do not know. So that was my conception before I became a Hare. I didn't know what God did, or I thought he just sat on a throne or something. But according to our teachings, he dances, he sings, he plays with cows, he has picnics, right? And he just enjoys with his friends all the time. And the place is called Vaikuntha, which means no anxiety. And in that spiritual domain, everything is free. You don't have to pay for anything, right? There are no taxes. Everything is just bliss, basically. So then there is this world, right, which is the reflected world. So originally, according to our teachings, we were living in that world. But then we decided, because one thing that Krishna or God gives us is independence, free will. Everyone here has free will, right? To a certain degree. Right? We can choose what we want to do to a certain degree. Right? I can get up now, I can walk out that door, that door, that door, or that door. I have a certain amount of free will and choice. So he gave us that free will, and somehow we decided we didn't want to just stay in the spiritual world and have picnics, and we wanted a bit of space for ourselves. We said, that's okay. I'll give you this world, the reflected world. And that's where we are now. But he said, as we left, he said, I'll give you that world, but there's a couple of things with that world. Two main things. It is Dukalayam and Ashashwatam. He says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone know this word? Dukalayam? Just like in India, you have the Himalaya. So Dukalaya. Laya means like a place. Like Himalaya means the place, or the Hima, or the mountains. Dukkha in Sanskrit or in Hindi, this word means?
Sorrows. Misery. Sorrows?
Yeah, misery, like that. Or, yeah, any of these words, distress, like that. So he says, you can go to that world, but by the way, it's the place of distress. Have fun. Here's $10. Enjoy yourself, like that. And then he said, Ashashwatam. Ashashwatam means temporary. It's all temporary there. As long as you're living in this body, it is temporary. Everything which is material is temporary. The spirit, the soul, that is eternal. But the body is temporary. So we get into now, it's artificial because we live forever in that world. But when we come into this world, you have to keep transmigrating into bodies which are just temporary. And Krishna says it is just like putting on a different dress every day. Like every day you get up, Sapya put on a blue shirt today. Yesterday you had the red shirt. I saw on Facebook you were in the red shirt. So, you know, red shirt yesterday, blue shirt today, green shirt tomorrow. So similarly, in our spiritual progress in this world, yesterday or in the previous life, I was a female, now I'm male. Next life, this life I'm Australian, next life I'll be African. Like that, it all changes. So just the dress is changing, but the soul remains the same. Everyone understands this basic concept? Just the basic. So he says everything in this world is temporary, and it is full of misery. So how are you enjoying your life so far down here in this? It's misery and it's temporal. Some people ask me sometimes, why did you become a Hare Krishna? That's my basic answer, because it's miserable and temporary here. Right? My life actually isn't that bad, to be honest. Even before I was a Hare Krishna, it wasn't that bad. You know, I grew up in Melbourne, had a nice family, nice friends, everything was there. But by the age of 19, I just thought, is this all there is? Isn't there more to life? Isn't there like a real spiritual purpose or something deeper that we can aspire for? Yes, ma'am?
No need about the misery and the temporary part, you wouldn't have acknowledged that, or you wouldn't have gotten this lesson, you know. I see it as well as a chance to grow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why Krishna makes it miserable and temporary, because he wants us to wake up and say, actually, we belong back in that world.
Or we try and make this place our own, even if it's temporary, and bring it here.
What's that?
Or we try and make this place our own and bring it here, even if it's temporary.
In this world?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, internally, you can be feeling blissful, and you can be very connected to Krishna, internally, in the heart. But the outside is always miserable and temporary. And that's not enough for us. It means we're limiting our experience. We could have so much more. The only reason we're in this world, as the representatives of Krishna or the teachers, we're only in this world to guide humanity, that's all. Otherwise we don't have a purpose to be here. Because in terms of pleasure, it's limited.
Pretty big purpose though.
Yeah, you need a big purpose. Yeah, and if you're going to do something, change the world. You have a real purpose, you know. You know, that's what the Germans are about, changing the world. Let's change this planet. You know, we're focused. That's actually our purpose. That's why we're meant to be here. We're meant to change the consciousness of the planet. Like I said, I opened up, I said, what? Just describe this world. People tell me it's chaotic, stressful. It shouldn't be like that. So let's change it. Let's give people an actual understanding of what spiritual reality is. Let's show them what that other world is like, reflected here, but make this world like that. It can't be like that because it's not that. But let's make it like that. At least here on this 200 acres. Right? People are half normal. So we're half normal. We're spiritually focused. Right? And we show people an example of how we should be. Yeah, the way we live, the way we deal, it's different. It should not be materialistic. It should not be based on selfish motivation, but rather on giving to others and helping to upraise others, uplift others. Yeah. So that's the nature of this world. Everything is temporary, everything. So I think the original question was about this mantra. Can we chant? I just had to give like a introduction into the chanting of the mantra, like that. First we have to understand the spiritual status of why we chant. So the chanting is a state of meditation we enter into to reconnect back to that world. So your original question, can we do that anytime? We do that anytime.
Can you find peace even if you're in this world by chanting?
Can you find peace in this world by chanting? Yeah.
A bit of peace.
Yeah, we can find peace in this world. Peace internally, externally you cannot find peace. Because the nature of this world is not peaceful. Even like, you know, I'm a Hare Krishna monk. I've been doing this for like nearly 30 years. So my job description, part of my job description is be peaceful. It's pretty much what we do, because it's just our nature and it's just the way we live our life. But even in my endeavour to be peaceful, right, and living out here in this beautiful place and like all that, there's still always something in the external world which causes problems. to my life. Like, my life's going really well. I get up in the morning, I do 2 hours of meditation and chanting, right? I'm very focused, feeling blissful, ecstatic, and then my phone rings, right? And then I pick up the phone, and then when I pick up the phone, then what takes place? Right? Someone's got a problem, and they want to give that problem to me, or involve me in it, like that. So, did you lose something?
No, I gotta go down with the kids, sorry.
Okay. So that's just the nature of this world. So internally you can be peaceful, but externally it's not possible, because there's always going to be problems surrounding us. Right? But how we relate to those problems and resolve those problems and deal with those problems, that's in our control. But the actual problems themselves, they're not going to go away. It's just the nature of this world. It's always going to be problematic. Dukkhalaya means full of misery. So the chanting, we do that for 2 hours a day, but then it can be done the rest of the day also, but not in a meditative way, but just in while we're in the shower, we just chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, or when you're in your kitchen, like sometimes, does anyone here, do you feel down sometimes? A little bit depressed sometimes? Anyone feel like that sometimes? A little bit depressed? Yeah, we all sometimes feel like that. So, the Hare Krishna movement, we give out free anti-depression pills. Well, not a pill, but like a methodology. So if you want to overcome depression, right, I'll give you like a 1 minute or 3 minute anti-depression remedy, like that. So everyone put your hands in the air. Like that. So how do you feel? Anyone speak English? How do you feel?
Good.
Good. Okay, that's nice. Any other adjectives, or how do you feel?
Open.
Open. Very good. Nice. Yeah, how do we feel on this? It's impossible to be depressed when you have this posture, right? This is anti-depression. You can't be depressed when you're like this. That's not possible. You'll see, the cricket. You go to the MCG on Boxing Day, right? In Australia versus who we're playing this year. No one follows it here. I don't follow it, so I don't know. England, whoever we're playing. So, and then you see the guy hits a six, and everyone like that, because they're euphoric. If you go around at that moment, interview everyone. How's your depression going? At this point in time, everyone's like, there isn't any. I know. So there's anti-depression, right? So this is what we do as Hare Krishna, as you saw before. We're dancing and we're chanting. So we chant this mantra, and the mantra is made of the names of Krishna, of God Himself. So that mantra, Nija Sava Shakti, says all the power or all the potency of God Himself, of Krishna Himself, in that mantra. So when we chant it, we feel blissful, because we're close to Krishna. And when you're close to Him, you feel happy, because He's bliss personified. He's always happy. So this is what we do. If you're feeling down, you just put your hands in the air, right? And you just dance around your kitchen table and chant Hare Krishna, right? And if you're a little bit self-conscious about it, I can understand. You're a little bit self-conscious. Just do it in your kitchen when no one's around. If you're feeling a bit down, you just start dancing around the kitchen table. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Right. Just do that, and you're not going to feel depressed. It works. I've been doing this for years. It actually works. That's why people say, "Oh, you guys look like you're happy." I tell the story sometimes. When 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I was a new Hare Krishna, and we're in Burke Street, and they used to have cinemas up there in Burke Street between Swanston and Russell Street. I don't know if they're still there, the Greater Union Cinemas. I don't know if they're still there or not. But every Friday night we used to dance and chant around the city. So we're in front of the cinemas. There's about 20 of us or 30 of us, and we're all dancing and chanting Hare Krishna. And we're 2 feet off the ground and we're all dancing. Very blissful. And the security guy who was he was there every week like that, watching us. And then he came over to me. This particular night we were very blissful. He came over and he stood next to me. I was on the end. And he leaned over and he goes, "I don't know what you guys are on, but I'll take 2 kilograms." And I just said to him, I said, "This is just the chanting." It works. It makes you feel blissful. I can't live without it now. I have to do this chanting on a regular basis. Sometimes people used to say to our founder, Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he's the one who brought it to the West. Sometimes reporters were saying, because in the 70s when he brought it, it was quite different. You know, it really was quite shockingly different. You know, like bald-headed, you know, orange robe guys dancing and chanting down the streets of London and New York and Paris and Melbourne and like that. It was quite different. You know, it's quite. So the Hare Krishna was seen as very radical. Now we're part of the scenery. But so they said to him back in the 1970s, they said, "Are you brainwashing people?" And his reply was, "Their brains are dirty. So yes, we are brainwashing them." But his brainwashing had a different meaning. So it's not like a mechanical mind control, but rather it's a way of touching our actual spiritual essence and bringing that bliss out. And it cleanses the mind, it cleans it. So it is brainwashing because our brains are dirty, so we need to cleanse ourselves. So you can do this chanting anytime. When you're driving your car or when you're doing your shopping or you're in your office. You know, George sometimes gets up on the desk of his office in the middle of the day and just says, Hare Krishna. They're used to him now, so they let him do it. They tried to sack him a few times, but you still do that? Or?
Oh, I still do.
You still do it. He doesn't really do it, but that's the basic answer. You can do the chanting anytime, like that. We do it like meditatively, but then you can just do it anytime. And actually, the more you chant, the more blissful you feel. Anything you'd like to add to it?
Just to the everyday living, how can you apply this knowledge to everyday movement, living, work?
How can you apply it every
think
day?
about Krishna?
Yeah, how can you think about Krishna or apply these teachings every day? Yeah. It's challenging to apply these teachings every day in the modern world. It is challenging because I know many, you know, I teach in Melbourne, you know, the philosophy of these ancient teachings, and many of the students who come to my classes, my course, they, you know, many of them are like highly kind of paid managers in corporations in Melbourne and like that. And I think, Prasen, you do the same thing?
Yeah.
Like that? Do you work Telstra or something? Or?
No, I work with an IT company. I'm a project manager there.
Project manager for one of the IT companies and like that. So many of our students, you know, they got these kind of positions. So it's like the antithesis of what we teach and the way we practice. You know, they live in a world which is not really spiritually orientated. It's kind of the opposite of what we teach. You know, the way it's constructed and operated. So it's a challenge actually. Many of them tell me it's a challenge because the hours you have to work, you know, who says we have to work 9 to 5? And these days it's 9 to 6 or it's 8 to 10 or whatever. Who says we have to work like that? That's the way the world is now. I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard recently in Sweden, the government have nationally made the workday 9 till 3. So people don't have to work all day. You know, finish at 3 o'clock, you can go home. Right? And what I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but what I've heard is that the country is now 80% more productive. Who says we have to work 9 to 5? Yeah, if you don't want to, who says you have to? This is the way the world is these days. It's like this artificial. So then we bring these ancient teachings of spiritual enlightenment and knowledge. We're trying to bring this into the modern world. And the modern world, the way it's set up, it's not conducive. So it is a challenge to kind of amalgamate the two. It can be done. You have to be very focused and determined to do it, but actually it's very difficult. Like, you know, Donald Trump's not telling people, oh, you know, everyone in America, you just finish at 3 now. Right? I want you to do 2 hours of Hare Krishna chanting in the morning. Right? You imagine Donald saying stuff like this. I want you all, you know, I want a lot more meditation, I want yoga at work, I want a vegetarian diet in all the companies. Like, they're not going to say these things, unfortunately. So it is a challenge, but it can be done. But it just, this day and age, it's more challenging to remain spiritually focused. So you have to get your balance or your juice, or I'm just trying to think of the word, but you have to get your nourishment from somewhere. That's why we hold these days like this, so people can come here and then get nourished, and then stay focused. So we have these kind of things every day.
Reading as well. Reading as well.
Reading, yeah. Study these ancient teachings in your home. Study these ancient teachings. That will help you all. So. Any other questions or comments from anyone? It's a very enlightened audience today. I can see that. Anyone else has some? Everyone's on such a deep level that there's no questions. Anything you'd like to we can discuss. Yes, sir.
We spoke about anxiety, so that perhaps if you can explain a little bit about the three levels. We've got the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And how can we move from the mental, especially when the mind starts to go into this fantasy world, how can we bring it back to the physical? And then from there, what are the benefits of going into the spiritual world?
So what was the question? I'm not sure.
So we all experience anxiety and illusion. So, we got the physical, the mental platform, and then the spiritual. So to bring ourselves from that mental platform, like I'm here, sitting here, and I could be thinking about, oh God, am I going to be able to pay rent? So that's not very helpful. So I've got to bring the mind back into the self, into the body, into the physical.
So how to deal with the anxiety from...
Yes, from those three platforms.
Well, the spiritual technically doesn't have anxiety, so how does the spiritual deal with the anxiety of the mind and the body? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
How do we deal with that? Yeah, so basically the mind is the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. If you read the 6th chapter deals a lot with the mind. Right? Now, what's the nature of the mind? Krishna says in the 6th chapter it is chanchala. Does anyone know this word? Chanchala? Chanchala?
Moving here and there.
Yeah, moving, constantly moving. Chanchal means unsteady.
Yeah.
Nature of the mind is unsteady. Has anyone ever tried to practice silent meditation? My wife's mother, she was speaking to us during the week, and she said, I've been doing these meditation classes. And my wife said, what do they teach you in your meditation class? And they said, think of nothing.
Yeah.
And she said, I can't do it. Think of nothing. And what is your mind? What's the first thing your mind says? There's no such thing as nothing. So it's like your mind cannot be quiet for a moment. Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he says the soul cannot stop doing something even for a moment, because the nature of the soul is active. We're not inactive. What happens when the soul leaves the body? If my soul goes out of my body right now, what takes place?
Silent.
What's that?
Silent?
Yeah, silent. Or we call it death.
Yes.
Yeah, it's yeah, pretty silent. Like, hello? Hello? It's time for lunch. Hello? It's like...
Shavasana.
Yeah. It's like that. Why? Because it's if you've ever seen a dead body, I don't know if anyone's ever seen a dead body. You see a dead body, a dead human body, I've seen. I've been there when one of my friends passed away. I was with him at the moment he passed. So if you see the difference between the body, those two moments, right, is one is that the soul is not present, one is the soul is present. So as long as the soul is present, there has to be activity, because that's the nature of the soul. We must be active. We're always thinking. You can't stop thinking. Not possible. And the body can't stop. It's got to breathe, or it's got to blink, or it's got to do something. You say, don't do anything for 1 minute. It's not possible. And you get the best example. You just get a group of kids. Sometimes I go to schools and I teach them meditation or something. But you just get a group of kids. Okay, guys, everyone, just think of nothing for a minute. Right, and watch what the kids do. It's not possible. Adults can do it a little easy, but it's not possible. No. So that is the nature of the mind. Krishna says it is chanchal, it is always changing. Now Arjuna, who is having the conversation with Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he asks a question to Krishna and he says, I find it more difficult to control the mind than the raging wind. Just like if you come here on a windy day, this place gets really windy. We're in the Otway, so it's famous for wind. Around about September usually, springtime, it really gets windy here. So the wind just rips through. So he said, to control my mind is easier than to control that wind. Actually, it's the other way. To control... Sorry. I'm a little bit tired. I get up early in the morning, so about this time I start getting like, a little bit. So if I'm looking a little unfocused at this point in time, it's just sleep deprivation. That's all. Oh, really? But the wind, it's easier to control that than it is your mind. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Because when the wind's going, your mind's very hard to control. So then Arjuna says, so then what do I do? How do I control my mind? And Krishna says, abhyas and vairagya. He gives 2 points, abhyas and vairagya. Vairagya means detachment. You have to become detached from the mind. I was hearing Anthony Robbins recently. You know Anthony Robbins? Tony Robbins? The biggest life coach on the planet. He's a super famous guy, like big life coach. He was saying, I was hearing him saying recently, anyone who just stays with their mind, just them and their mind for 24 hours, they're probably going to go crazy. Probably. Yeah, I mean, no, it won't always happen, but if you just spend just you and your mind of too much time, you'll start going like, whoa, like that, because it will say everything to you. Like it just goes in, and usually gets into negative stuff, and it just like goes further and further. So, vairagya means you have to become detached from the mind. You can't take your mind so seriously, because your mind's just going to give you garbage all day long, right? And the mind has 2 functions, right? Raga, dvesha. Raga means attachment, dvesha means aversion. That's all the mind does. Oh, I like that, but I don't like that. This is good. And if you really want to see the mind work, right, especially this time of year, just go to Burke Street Mall. Just walk into one of the, like Zara. Zara's got a shop in Burke Street Mall. It's like 3 stories higher or more. You just walk in there and just watch all the people walking around. Oh, I like that, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that, I don't like that. Oh, that's all the mind does. Accepts and rejects, accepts and rejects. That's all the mind does. So that's raga and dvesh. And you see your own mind, if you study them, you can't take the mind too seriously, because if you study your own mind, you can become completely attached to someone. Right? This is what relationships, and especially in the modern world, we see relationships. In the old world, people could stay married their whole life. You know, if you stay married your whole life these days, we give you like a medal or something, or a trophy, or, you know, a free meal at Gopal's or something like that. It's like, you know, if you can stay married your whole life, that's because you see the way the mind is these days. People's minds are so disturbed, and they're less tolerant. Then that object or that person who you love the most and you're most attached to in this world, right? The next day, that same person could be the person you hate the most, right? Despise them and don't want to be in their proximity at all. And the next day it reverses again, and they're everything to you again. That's just the mind. The person's the same, but everything's completely changed according to your mental status. So you have to learn not to take the mind so seriously. And if you want to progress in spiritual life, you have to learn not to take the mind so seriously. Because the mind just says, oh, this is good, this is bad. It just goes on all day and all night. So Krishna says, vairagya, become detached from the mind. And abhyas. Abhyas means? Practice. You have to practice controlling your mind. Because your mind tries to spin out of control all the time. You have to learn to grab it. Right? Your mind might say, I just want to do this right now. Does your mind ever say something like that? Sometimes. Yeah. Your mind just says, I want to do it now. Does your mind ever say that? Like that? Yeah. Now! No, now! You see kids, kids verbalize it. you know, we don't verbalize it, we just see it on each other's faces. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a whole thing going on in there. It's like, nah, the mind's going, no, I want to do it now. It's like, you know, the mind's going crazy. Right? So abhyas means practice. You have to learn to practice controlling your mind. You have to grab it and say, excuse me, we're just going to do something else for a while. Or a good way that I deal with my mind, I say, your mind's saying, I want to do this. I say, yeah, okay, we'll do it later. Is that cool? He goes, okay. So, I know I'm not going to do it later. But I just tell it, yeah, we'll do it later. Then we just keep doing it. Especially when we're chanting and doing our meditation, like in the morning, we're doing 2 hours a morning. So like, yeah, I'll be deep in meditation, then my mind will just come out with something from like something I did 35 years ago. Just bang in my mind, just like, I want to do that now. And I'm just like chanting now, I think, really? Like that. And then I just say, we'll do it later, is that okay? He goes, okay. He says, okay, no problem, and keep chanting. So you have to learn abhyas. It means practicing, controlling your mind. And then eventually you become a swami, or a Goswami, which means a master of the mind. And you have control of it. And when you have control, you can become a guru. You can teach others. But if you don't have control of your mind, you can't lead other people's minds. Because the world's out of control. You have to have control. And when you have control, then you can assist others also. Abhyas and vairagya. Practice and detachment. This is how to control the mind. So I think your question was, how do we overcome the anxiety in the mind and the body? Basically just work on the mind. Because if the mind's control, everything else will be a lot easier in life. Is that okay?
Yeah. One thing I have noticed is whenever we have free time, the mind works overtime.
What's that saying in English? The idle mind is the
Devil's playground.
devil's playground, yeah, or devil's workshop, or it's a fact. You know, if you don't, that's why you have to keep yourself occupied all the time. But people these days, unfortunately, when they have spare time, they do the wrong things. They just waste their time and they do things which are actually detrimental to their spiritual. If we have spare time, then we try to use that to spiritually progress. Just like, you know, I'm like, you know, I get a wage from the Hare Krishna movement. Technically I'm like a minister of religion. That's my vocation. So, you know, I get like that. So I'm like everyone else. I get a month off a year. Like that. It's like my holiday. You know, you get holiday leave. Like that. So then holiday, I can think, wow, awesome. I'm going to go to Fiji, Bali, Tahiti, Hawaii. Like that, you know. Your mind could do that. Right? Sometimes the mind does do stuff like that. You know, I just want to be, you know, sort of like. But what do I do every year when I have my month off? I go to India. And I don't go to India to enjoy myself materially. Because India, if you've been there recently, it's not the materially most enjoyable place in a lot of places. I mean, if you go to maybe Goa or something like that, you might get some, you know, but a lot of it's quite unpleasant. But spiritually, there's an entire universe below the surface, which is spiritually is the most powerful and nourishing place on the planet that I've found. So every year I go there for a month and I just absorb myself spiritually in very deep spiritual practices. Like that. So that way, you know, when you have free time, use it for the best way to help yourself spiritually progress. That's the trick of the mind. You have to use the mind when it has spare time. Use it for the right, or use your time wisely, so that your mind becomes nourished instead of degraded. So, would you like to add anything else?
No, very much.
Okay.
Which part of India do you go?
What's that?
Which part of India? Like you go on a holiday, which part of India?
Which part of India? It's not really a holiday. It's more like a pilgrimage, like that. But it's a holiday, but it's a pilgrimage. Our tradition comes from Mayapur, which is up the Ganges from Calcutta, north of Calcutta. That's our world headquarters. And then we go to Puri, which is on the east coast in Orissa, on the beach. like that, which is very beautiful, very pleasant. It's like a holiday because it's on the beach and it's palm trees and it's beautiful, but it's also spiritually a very deep place. And then we fly across to Vrindavan, which is where Krishna appeared, which is near the Taj Mahal and Agra, yeah, 60 kilometres from Agra. It's interesting, I've been there about 25 times in my life to Vrindavan. I've never seen the Taj Mahal. It's only 60 kilometres away. Everyone goes to India, and people say to me, have you seen the Taj Mahal? First thing people say.
Just because you don't want to see it or you don't have the time?
I've taken a vow I will never see the Taj Mahal. No, just, what is it? I'll go there and I'll look around, and actually a friend of ours, because every year when we go, we take people. We take like a guided group which goes into the history and the tradition of the Hare Krishna movement, our tradition, which goes back thousands of years. So this year I took about 10 people. We got back about 3 weeks ago. So I took 10 of us and we travelled around to these holy places. And then at the end, 18 days, we finished our tour. And then we had a few days free, and then we go on a retreat with some of our gurus. We go off on a retreat. There's a few days spare. So then everyone had to do what they wanted to do for those 2 or 3 days. So some of the people I took, they went to see the Taj Mahal. Because it's just there, so they went down. They came back, and so I said, so what was it like that? And one of the girls who was with us, she said, actually I didn't like it, because when I heard about the history of it, and Aurangzeb, who, built the thing, and I mean, I don't know all the history, but she said, 60,000 people had their hands cut off or something. Like the guy who built it was a tyrant and like that, and it's got all this, if it is what it is, if it is just the tomb for his wife, there's a lot of negative energy and there's a lot of negative history behind it. So she came back, and then she said at the end, like, someone said, oh, do you want to have a photo? Everyone's like, in front of the Taj Mahal, or you put your finger on top of it, or, your photo. I said, no, I didn't feel like that, because I didn't feel it was like her experience wasn't a place of happiness, but it was something else. So the reason I don't go is just because I try to live my life every day that the decisions I make and the experiences that I have leave a deep impression on my spiritual journey and my consciousness. And I don't feel drawn to go to the Taj Mahal because I don't think it's going to change me on the level that I want to be changed. Or I don't think it's going to add value to me on the level that I want to be added to. So that's why I've never seen it. It's there, I can just drive down the road, it takes 45 minutes, I can go and see it. But if I get there, I'll just see it. And, obviously it's a beautiful building, but I take people to, Dial just came with me. We saw a lot of beautiful buildings and architecture, ancient temples and things. And many of the people I take who have seen the Taj Mahal, they say many of the things we saw are equal to or better, or, so that's what I do. So please forgive me for not seeing the Taj Mahal.
I've got a reason why I don't want to see it. When people ask me, you've not seen Taj Mahal, I can say why I don't want to see it. I didn't know, I've never been there.
Yeah.
The Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
But the history is right.
Yeah, the history is right.
Not a good king.
Yeah, each to their own, like that. I mean, if I was going past Agra, because, I go back the other way, I go north, but that's south. So if I was going past, I'd stop and have a look. It's not like I've got a phobia against the Taj Mahal.
But if there's no happiness, as you say, and there's a lot of negative energy, then we're going there just to get something which is not going to spiritually increase you.
Yeah, for me, I don't feel drawn to it. But if someone feels drawn to it, they can go on. You can learn something. It's something we can learn from everything. So if you feel drawn, then go and see the Taj. We're not anti-Taj. But I'm not pro-Taj either. I'm like the Switzerland of Taj Mahal. People in this world. Yeah, but there's another theory, and I don't know, but we can't substantiate, and I don't know what's true or not, but someone told me it's actually a temple of Shiva. Yeah, and the Mughals, they took it, and then they said it was their tomb and everything, so I'm not sure. I don't know if the history is accurate, whether or not it was for his wife or whether it was something else. It was already there, I'm not sure. Like that. So if I took it from the other level, I'd probably be more interested to go and see it. But the way it's currently portrayed and understood, I'm not so drawn to it. Any more questions about the Taj Mahal?
When you come back from India,
Yeah.
1 month,
Yeah.
like spiritually you think you are much improved or gained?
10,000 times. What I gain in that month there, because the places, like not India itself, but they're called dhams or holy places, which I go to in those places. They are so powerful, and by doing the practices which I do on a daily basis in those places, it's like getting on a rocket ship of spiritual practice. Like you just feel literally like your spiritual journey is just going like rapidly accelerating quickly. So when I go back, I feel deeply transformed every time I go there, deeply. And I feel like, my spiritual journey is, it's catapulted every time I go there. I feel like what I've gained on my spiritual journey, my spiritual path is, it's like I'm traveling along all year, but then when I get there, it's kind of like I leap ahead. And then, so that's how I feel. So we go out every November. I take people there, so if you want to come, then just join us.
10 days, 10 days?
18.
8.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Like that, so.
18 now.
18. Yeah, 18. So if you want to come, just come. Life-changing experience. Dal, Kevin. Dal, what was it like?
Best time of my life.
Best time of his life. I don't pay him to say these things. Have we ever exchanged money in that way? Have I ever paid you to say something? No, it's not. I swear to God, he just said that. So, best time of his life. Very powerful.
I have been to Vrindavan once, and I didn't get that experience because everyone there were very focused, and I felt like that's business. Like everyone asking money, you want to pay money, you want to do this money, and it was forcefully put on me that I have to pay, otherwise you can't do this, you can't do that. By the time I came out of Vrindavan, my pocket was all finished. So that's why I'm asking this, that what did you see which I didn't see? That makes me not to go there.
Yeah. It means you didn't go with the right people. That's right.
Yeah.
It means the first time I went there, I went with my guru. The first time I went. First 2 times actually. First 3 times. First 3 times. First 3 times I went with my guru. And I went under his guidance. And he showed me and taught me how to go beyond what you experienced. That's like on the surface. It's like if you go to the ocean, so on the surface all this, but if you go deep it's very peaceful. Right? So he taught me how to go from that to the deeper level. So you need to come with those who have the spiritual focus and the ability to go beyond the external or the superficial and go into dive deep into it. And plus we take people away from those places generally. There's other places there where it's not so like that. And when we are in those places where you are with those kind of people and it is like that, then I'm like the shield. You guys can all just get on with your focus and I'll kind of shield from that. I know how to deal with those kind of people and situations.
Good to hear that, because
Defuse them quickly.
I know if you are going with something, I learned something new, otherwise my past experience was totally different to what you said.
Yeah, because you've just experienced the external, you haven't experienced the internal. Like if I go there, the first time I went there, I wouldn't have known anything. But my guru was there and he took me on a deep journey. He said, actually, where we are right now, all of this happened. And then he explained it all and took my consciousness to a much deeper place. So the basic guide or the basic premise or the basic instruction is that we need guru in our life. We need those who can guide and instruct us on our journey so that we get to the destination. That's what's lacking in the world. People don't have gurus these days. Any other questions? Oh.
That sound silly, but is there any gender-specific roles in the Hare Krishna community? I've just been observing that the men are chanting or playing the instruments out there. I was just wondering.
Yeah, any gender-specific roles? Okay. You want to answer? I'll ask my wife to answer. We'll get a female, because I might be biased in my...
That was not as advanced.
No, but maybe.
Yeah.
You want to
Interesting.
answer?
In ISKCON, in the Hare Krishna movement, the answer is mostly no, but yes. Like what the service I was doing, men do, and women also. They chant, lead the chanting, they give classes, but there's an element like at this point in time, the gurus, the main gurus that initiate and take disciples are only men. But because this movement came from India and a traditional Indian culture, so in India you wouldn't see a lady on the altar. So it's a bit more separated there, and leading kirtan is not in the traditional temples, ISKCON temples. Women will lead, but with the chanting. But in other ones, it's men, because traditionally the men would, go and do that while the wife would be at home maintaining home and family, and then the husband would come home and instruct what he's learnt from his time at the temple, and they would go and just take darshan. But our teacher here, our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, and he was an Indian man and came to the West in 70, and he was a cultured man as well. So when he came to America, that was in the 60s, and the hippie time as well, really opened his eyes. He was like, oh, okay. So he could see also that Western women, the role was quite different. So, they were, educated just the same as men and were working and had that. So he knew that wouldn't necessarily work here. So he's given the opportunity to say, well, women can do what the men can do. So, that's how it is now. But you would see some temples, yes. In India, it's still traditional culture. But yeah, there's no reason why you can't chant and study and whatever in your home in India. But here it's in all other countries around the world is
So yeah, it's basically like Atuya said, everything is mostly ungender biased, but there are a few things which are still, because translating something very ancient into the modern context, so there's still a few things. Just like Australia's just voted for gay marriage, like that, so now it's accepted. I don't have a problem with it, inside the Hare Krishna movement, outside. But there are many inside, like in the Hare Krishna movement, it's not there. Gay marriage is not part of our movement at this point in time, because traditionally it was never there. There was no such thing as gay marriage in the tradition. But in the modern world, we see the modern world's different. I have gay friends, and it's very different now. So in our movement at this point in time, it's not there. So there's like thousands of Hare Krishnas around the world who don't have a problem with gay marriage, but there's many Hare Krishnas in the world who are still very traditional. They say, no, I can't be there. So now, we have to work that out, which will probably take 10 or 20 years for everyone to, because this is the way things work in the world. So, it's, as Atuya said, basically it's pretty much even keel, but there's still some things. You may see some things which are still, because, the tradition and then the modern, it's all being amalgamated. I'd say in 10 or 20 years, I think everything will be pretty much, there won't be any type of restrictions for anyone. But it takes time for people to get used to things. And the world's very different. When you're running an international society, like our movements in every country of the world, so the Brazilians think one way, the Australians think one way, the Indians think one way, Czechoslovakians think one way, so it's like, and then you've got to get them all together. Once a year we have a meeting, where like the leaders come from all like that, and you get them all in the room, right? And they've all got their traditions, their cultures, our culture. It's like, and then you got to get them all together to agree on something. It takes years to come like that. So it just takes time. That's all. But pretty much girls can do everything that we can do. A lot of times they do stuff better. You know, a lot of the women can do many of the things I do as a Hare Krishna like leader. Many of the women can do it better than me. You know, so I'm not going to say, well, you know, the men should do it. It's like, because I can see they're superior in many ways. So. Any other question? Or is anyone hungry? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the rest of you, thank you for coming. But if anyone's hungry, then just go out the door, just turn right, and we're just gonna. I think we're gonna have an outside picnic today. Yeah, we normally eat inside, but I think the weather's not too bad today, so we'll just have a picnic. Just get your plate and sit down somewhere. Please come again. If you'd like to give a donation for the meal today, just leave it in the donation box here, and then. Afterwards, when we finish the meal, we'll go and visit the cows. So if you'd like to come and visit the cows with us, we'll meet afterwards and we'll go and visit them. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.